didn't cut out on me, I'm not sure if it did, but in my previous video I was just saying how, so one of you said that you hated all your bureaucracy involved for getting benefits, like they want the people who actually need benefits not be able to get them. And then you also, and I said, yeah, that's exactly it, they do make it needlessly difficult. And the other thing is that you said that most laziness seems to just be a result of mental health issues, and I said, yeah, laziness is too often used as a smear, when often there's a good reason for why someone appears demotivated in some area, and they often need help. And there's not a single human being on this earth who is at some time or other demotivated in some area of their life and could be accused of being lazy. So considering that everyone has that at some point, people shouldn't judge. Or they should at least try and understand why the person is like that and try and help them or whatever. Because there's often a reason. And also the other thing is, surely it's better to be in inverted commas lazy than going around killing people in wars and stuff. So, I think it's Bertrand Russell, by the way, who actually wrote a book called In Defence of Idleness, which isn't quite what it seems in the title. But it's, I can't remember exactly what he said in there, but it's a good book called In Defence of Idleness, and again it's the way in which capitalism brands being idle, in inverted commas, as like a sin. Again, going back to Victorian times, about the deadly sins and stuff. But actually, I think he argued that maybe if more people were, in inverted commas, idle, there would be less problems in the world, like less war and stuff, and things like that, because all the problems in the world are caused by people being too active, and like climate change and stuff like that as well. So, that's something to think about as well. So, someone else said that they use money from their job to employ a cleaner, and they make the point that it's amazing that, and they said that if you're disabled but not as seriously disabled and able to get money from a job, you are given less of a dependence rhetoric. So again, that's a bit of that double standard I was talking about earlier, that it seems to be okay that if you're on your own 2 feet and you can afford a cleaner for the same disability issue, so this person really, like me, really struggles with cleaning but is lucky enough to be in a job, so they can use their money from the job to employ a cleaner, but because they still have like really severe difficulties with cleaning, but because they can use their money from their job to do it, no one judges them of being dependent. But if you're unlucky enough not to be in a job because your disability means you can't work, and you have those same needs, and then you ask social services to help you fund it, you're given all this stuff about dependency. So again, that's a good point about the double standards going on there as well. And also they said that it's amazing that they think people in their mid-30s are going to grow up and get skills. If you were going to learn how to executive functioning, we would have done it by now. Yeah, exactly. It's like, when do they think these so-called skills are going to come online? It's like, I'm 35 years old. Do they not think my parents spent years trying to teach me these skills? Like, if it was a skill failure, I would have learned, it would have been solved by now. I've had so much support over the years. So why do they, it's just completely unimaginative thinking. It's got nothing to do with how much support I've had in trying to acquire these skills. It's got everything to do with the fact that I have executive functioning in problems, which means I can't initiate, and I get distracted. If someone's there trying to tell me what to do, or like it still doesn't get done because I get distracted, my autism gets in the way. I end up like focusing on something else instead of the cleaning. Like, I've had this before with support workers, they're hopeless, they just sit there while I try and do it. A little bit gets done, but like this basically, the amount of cleaning just to clean a really small part of the bathroom can take several weeks. Because for me to do it with their input, I'd literally need them to come out every single day just to do that one task. That kind of would cost a lot of money and wouldn't really be very helpful, and I wouldn't be able to do anything else. So it's much more economically effective to get a cleaner. So I really don't understand why they could be funny about that. I mean, to be fair, he is going to put it to the council, and it isn't his decision ultimately. He just said what they might come back and say. But I'm prepared for a fight, because at the end of the day, it's absolutely stupid. And I did say to him, I said, it's a health and safety issue if I don't get this, because nothing gets done, so I need a cleaner. he came out of his whole line also that, they might say I could spend my personal independence. Note, by the way, the language there, personal independence payment, which is replacing disability living allowance. We don't talk about disability anymore. See, it's in the title, personal independence payment, it's all there. The emphasis is on independence, because, we don't talk about disability. No. Tories hate disabled people, we know that. Personal independence payment is what it is. When I say they hate disabled people, they love their own, obviously, but they have a systematic ableism. If it's a disabled person in their own family, then obviously they're deserving, and a Tory will go and help them, or, charity. Oh yeah, charity's great, But, no, they mustn't rely on the state, God no, heaven forbid. That's a sin. So I'm going off a bit. So another one of you said that there's an odd attitude that it's immoral to not do things yourself among some sectors of the population, regardless of whether or not you're disabled or not. People often look down on people who need to rely on others. Again, usually you'll find they're Tories, because Tories tend to go on about the self-help rhetoric. They don't see society, they just see individuals. Thatcher said there's no such thing as society. They want everyone to stand on their own 2 feet, self-help, get on your bike, do it all yourself. Don't call for help. So unfortunately there is a segment of society who does hold that view, sadly. That's why we have quite a cold, uncaring situation. That's neoliberal capitalism for you. And also why people who work in care are so underpaid. It shows how little value they are. That's another reason why society hates disabled people. People who care for them are also undervalued. So anyone who works as a carer is paid an absolute pittance, which again harms the disabled. It undermines them, because it's like almost saying they're not worthy. It's not seen as a kind of it's not seen as something worth paying highly. It's not valued. Support workers are paid an absolute pittance and are overworked and undertrained. So, you can hardly blame them, I guess, if some of them can't do their job properly. So, another one of you said, and I thought this was very interesting, in referring to executive functioning, you're coming at it from an ADHD perspective, and there's a great overlap between ADHD and autism. Indeed, you'll be hard pressed to find an autistic person who doesn't have at least some ADHD traits, and that's part of the reason why pre-2013 you couldn't get diagnosed as both. So if you were diagnosed autistic pre-2013, you couldn't also be diagnosed as having ADHD, because the consensus was that being autistic automatically meant you had elements of ADHD, in terms of like hyperfocus, not being able to attend to things that aren't interesting, getting fixated on things, sensory seeking. There's a lot of overlap. So of course the 2 conditions are going to have some crossover. It's just obviously in autism, you have the addition of a social disability on top. So one of you with ADHD but not autism said that, came out with this really funny, how can I put it, analogy, I guess. That I think you said, I can't remember whether you said it's a psychologist or someone said, but they call executive dysfunction an erectile dysfunction of the brain. I thought that was really funny. I'm not sure if there's a female equivalent of that, because obviously as a woman it wouldn't sound quite so apt as if I was a man to say that. But so I wonder if there's a female equivalent, but I thought that was really funny. Erectile dysfunction of the brain. So when something is arousing, what you can perform, but when something isn't arousing, then the performance is impossible, however much you wish you could do it. That's exactly it. That's exactly my experience. And that explains the problem with forms. It's not that I don't have the skills. I mean, hell, I've got a university degree. I know how to write. It's not that I don't have the skills, but when I did my university degree, I had a hyper-focus because I was interested in it. And it's that, what people don't understand. They think it's a choice, by the way. I think that's it. They say, oh no, everyone... I've had this from support workers before who actually don't get autism. Oh, no one likes to do things they're not interested in. You know, you get all of that, right? They don't understand it's actually a disability, that this is actually in your brain. This is not something you can control. This is 100% physical process in the brain, which is all to do with not being able to attend to things that are not motivating. This happens in ADHD and it also happens in autism. And if you look at those who are like more, I guess you could call it, with profound autism, you'll notice this in a very extreme sense. Obviously people then give them more slack for it because they're so profound they can't help it. So you'll notice a child just staring at the lights, right? I did that actually when I was a kid. My mum, I once did it in a cafe and my mum thought I was ill. She thought I had something dreadfully wrong with me because I was just staring at the lights. When I was about 2 years old, I was like literally just staring like that at the lights. She took me to the doctor. She rushed me to the doctor. She thought I was really ill. She thought I had some illness because I was like spaced out. The doctor examined me and he said, she's physically healthy, she's fine, she's just interested in the lights. You know. But yeah, I guess it can look quite unnerving. If a child's like that, it looks like they're spaced out, doesn't it? They're ill. What's wrong with them? They're not coming when they're called. They're completely in their zone, staring at the lights. But that again is this kind of issue with attention. But obviously, I was really motivated by the lights. And like I was saying, you get this a lot in those who are profoundly autistic, even right into adulthood, where sometimes, you know, they will be just spinning something in front of their eyes for hours, but when they're called, because they're not motivated, they don't come. That's the same thing, just in a more extreme form. And yeah, people give them more slack for that. But when you can talk and you appear able, oh, it must be choice. No, it's not. It's autism. Same thing. It's autism. It's just because I can talk, you know. People don't seem to understand. Okay, I'm going to stop now because actually there are a few more comments I want to come back to, but this video will probably run out of me because I talk quite a lot, so I'll cover those in another video. There's only a few more comments I wanted to delve into briefly. One about the border autism phenotype, which I can do quite quickly, but I'll talk about that in another video.